Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another, I nearly said Monday, Wednesday night Hobby Hangout. I hope everybody's well. I had a little bit of a mad panic there before we started. So at my end, the way the YouTube software and everything works, it shows you a little bit of a preview and you can kind of play it and make sure everything's working fine before you go live. But in the preview screen, it's only showing like the top left-hand quarter of the screen, and I was thinking, I really hope that's not how it's going to stream, but fingers crossed it all looks all right. And then it was saying that it wasn't getting enough information to kind of to have a stable stream. My internet was fine, so yeah, I think it's just YouTube's playing up. So if we have any little problems, I think it's a YouTube issue as opposed to kind of a problem at my end. But we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, so far looks so good. Yeah, Lord Winston, I had the 3 dots video not found image. I've had that all day, and it's the first time that's happened, and I must admit that set a few alarm bells ringing this morning. So yeah, I was a bit worried we were going to have a bit of a nightmare tonight, but it looks okay. Flying Mammal saying YouTube kept telling me I had no connection. Yeah, I don't know if it's playing up, mate. It's playing up there, Ruth. VJ says, "Ooh, BlackJack Legacy merch banner." Yeah, it just when I got to 10,000 subscribers, it gave me the option. So if you see on my videos now along the bottom, there's a merch banner and stuff. And it's the first, while I was playing with the different settings and stuff to try and see if there was something wrong in the background, I saw this where it said kind of pin a merch thing. So I thought, well, I'll press that and see what it does. So yes, apparently I can change it around as well. I think if I go to here, and then what I can do is I can change it to, if we say to this one, I think it should change now. Does it change? I'm not sure. It might do. Let's have a little look. Oh, there. I need to press that button, which was hidden by my chat. So, yeah, I think it looks like it's okay. It looks like it's working anyway. So we'll crack on. We'll crack on. Let's see what we've got in the chat tonight. But just give me a little nudge, folks, if there's any problems. It definitely looks like it's YouTube issues as opposed to issues at my end. So, Marcus, the Super Pumpkin Man, was in at 6:10 this afternoon. Good afternoon to you, as he said. Peter Cooman says, evening, couldn't decide between his various bolt action stuff, so he's doing his US Marine Corps, US Airborne, and a German Panzerschreck all at once. You've got like big brushes in each hand and just waving them out like a madman. Lord Maiden, good evening, mate. Hope you're well. Ortega, looking forward to catching you in this catch-up now, which you're watching now, which is the catch-up. Future dimension. It's like the alternate multiverse things. Isn't as well. Good evening to you, mate. Hello, ASDF. Hello, Mark Wright. Good evening, Blizzards. Jeff Hickens in as well. Flying Mammal, you're never late. You're like a wizard, always here precisely when you mean to be. Christian's in as well. Good evening, Christian. Christian, just as a matter of fact, does everybody call you Christian, or do your friends call you like Chris or anything like that? It just dawned on me there because I almost shortened your name when I was reading it. Scott Latham, hello to you. Tony Howell says, evening, you lovely lot. He says he may go AWOL when Wills and the Mutt turn up, but I won't be long. We'll just kind of sit back, mate. I won't do anything while you're away. I'll wait for you to come back. Gareth Lewis, hello to you, fella, as well. Nice to see you in the chat again. Mark Corley says, happy the snow's gone, or is it just me? We never got any, mate. We've had no snow. We've had horrible rain, horrible wind, like really grey, miserable, dingy weather, but no snow. Like if there'd been a bit of snow, I might have got the little one out to kind of play and stuff, but the garden's like a mud bath at the moment. Simon Tuckney says, glad to be here with the live show. Welcome, Simon. Hope you're feeling better as well, mate. I know you've not been too well, so I hope you're kind of feeling on the mend. Spunky Taz, good evening to you. Where was this one again? Busey's in as well. Says, good evening, painters, printers, builders, and hobbyists. Or hobbyisters. Yes. Ed Handley, good evening to you, mate. Steve Evans, good evening, sir. Fly Mammal says, looks a bit fancy, very professional. This is my painting angle, this one now. So I will do a kind of like a studio tour things. I've been making a few adjustments today, so you'll get to see how this all looks. But essentially, kind of over there, like behind me, is where I normally sit, facing the other wall. So where you can see that, if I move, where you can see that like black patch there, that's the bit I face when I'm doing Monday Night Live, so you won't really be able to see it there, but there's a bit of a black square here at the top. That's a TV screen that I've got on the wall that's connected to my computer. So when I'm live streaming, I can see, make sure the stream health's okay, make sure everything's still working and stuff. And there's normally like a light on the wall there that I take down for these. Otherwise, it looks like I've got a halo. It looks weird. But yeah, I've got a little corner desk here. So I've got a camera up in the corner of the desk facing to me. I've got a little computer monitor screen. So I've got like a cable that runs all the way around the room from my PC that's on the other side. And everything's on a wireless mouse and stuff like that, so I can control everything from this side of the room as well. And then all my paints are kind of up here on the wall. But we do have a slight change. So this is what we're painting tonight. This was my test model, but I did a bit of work today. I had a few hours spare, and I managed to. I've moved all of my paint racks up off my desk onto the wall a bit higher, which means I can get a nice background behind it, so it's not keep focusing on all the paints here. This is just a nice black cloth that kind of is just pinned to the bottom of my paint racks. In fact, I wonder if I can. I'll spoil the magic and try and show you if I can. So let me move my light out of the way. So there's my paint racks are up there now, and then I've just got some little clips, just the temporary connections here. Oh, there's my microphone. Some clips on there on my desk like that, and then essentially if I come back to here now. Come on, it's meant to be professional. If I come back to here now, bring that light back down again, and I can zoom in. So this is kind of it means we get. I need to kind of just jiggle it a little bit now, get in the right place. So this it makes it a little bit fancier looking on camera, but it's a bit ghetto in the background. So yeah, I'll give you a bit of I have to work with the space I've got. So yeah, this is really handy to kind of to make the best of what space I have. Where else are we at? Pale Blue, good evening, Pale Blue. Good evening, Kirsten as well. Hope you're very well. Peter says yes, the madman part seems correct. Where else are we up to here? Bit of a chat there. Blizzard saying he's doing work on Gremlins and Piggies. I'm assuming that's a bit of Malifaux there, mate, is it? VG says, oh yeah, I got shipping notification for Street Fighter Minis. Wow, that feels like a long time ago, mate. Was it delayed, or am I remembering it wrong? Ben Davey, good evening to you, mate. Marcus is saying nice to VG there. Christian is saying, friends call me Chris. I'm good with Christian or Chris. I've called you Chris now, mate. I don't know why it never occurred to me before that you might. I mean, I've shortened my name. There's only my sister and my dad calls me Andrew. So everybody else calls me Andy. Vijay says now he's looking forward to the Kickstarter launch of Mortal Kombat expansion. Wowzers, mate. Martin says, dude, it's warm today. It's 75 degrees. I think we've been lucky to get like over 3 degrees here, mate, for the last week. This week's weather looks absolutely awful. Next week's weather looks absolutely awful. It's a bit depressing when you can't really go out anywhere. The only thing we're really allowed to do is go for like an hour's walk. And the last thing I fancy doing is going for a walk when it's absolutely thumping it down every day. Ed says, very sad the snow's gone. My daughter was loving it. VG says, please probably be my own Kickstarter for this year. I haven't backed any Kickstarters in a long time. Tony says, yeah, the resin casting goddess is with us. Yes, she is. Lord Maiden says, oh, so does that mean to your left is the helmet? Yes, mate. The helmet is literally like just there, like over my like parallel to my left shoulder, right there on the wall. So yeah, I'll try and do a bit of a tour around. I appreciate they're not particularly great videos for people that don't really care about that stuff, but it gives you an idea of what, so you can see where it is. VG says, yeah, Andy with a halo, that would be weird. Yeah, it's like a ring light and it mounts to the wall, so it gives a nice even light towards me, and then I've got like sort of like side lights and stuff to give like a different kind of a look. But it's right on the wall behind me, so this kind of like ring light kind of looks like it goes around my head. It looks weird, so I take it down when I do these streams. Ruas is in. Good evening to you. Lord Maiden says, Andy, you have an added muffle where you're coming through twice. Right, let's have a look and see if I've got anything else. Okay, that one should be better now. I think it's because I turned on, I think it's coming through it was coming through the painting camera, mate. And that was because the supply to the painting camera went to my laptop the other day, and I turned the sound on so you could hear the sound from the Fighting Fantasy one. It should be fine now. Yeah, Lord Maiden saying there's an echo at the end. Simon says, have you seen the 3 new board games from GW? I have seen them, mate. I'll kind of wait and see if they're going to come to the UK or if they're going to be like kind of like the US exclusive stuff again. But to be honest, I mean, personally for me, I like the look of the kind of the Shadespire and Warcry crossover because I think it'll be good for kind of younger players. It essentially looks like Warcry with less models and no measurement for movement. You're basically moving through hexes. And it looks like kind of predetermined warbands because there's no points costs on the cards. So it looks all right, but I guess for me personally, there's no need to buy it. Warcry kind of fills that thing for me. Busey said 2 mics. Yeah, it was the internal microphone, mate, in my painting camera. Simon says, have you seen... Oh, yeah, sorry. Warwick saying, if you need a paint behind that cloth, things might be interesting on stream. No, mate, the paints are higher. So the top of the cloth now is the bottom of the paint racks. I've moved everything up because that's exactly what was happening before. That was why I didn't have any kind of backgrounds or anything, because all the paints were kind of like the racks were kind of level with my desk. So today I kind of took them all down and they're all screwed to the walls now. So yeah. I can still reach them. I can still reach the top shelf just. So, but yeah, we should be all right. Kirsten's saying, oh sorry, Marcus is saying he kept his pledge of at least 5 models and he's shooting for 10 this month. Nice one. Kirsten says, thanks, Annie. I'm not well, in fact. No, decidedly unwell today. And COVID test booked for tomorrow. Off work the rest of this week. I hope it's nothing too serious then, and I hope you make a speedy recovery. Blizzard saying, yes, it's Malifaux stuff. Flying Mammal giving her best wishes. Vijay says, yeah, I got pretty delayed due to artwork and mini sculpt clearance from Capcom. Yeah, I think once you start getting into that kind of stuff, it's like licensed stuff, it can be really tricky. I remember speaking with Riverhorse when they were doing the Hunger Games board game, and the amount of stuff, the times they had to go backwards and forwards for, I mean, the minis were tiny, and the amount of times they had to get clearance for the likeness of the sculpts and stuff going backwards and forwards. And I'm sure there was, I forget who it was, but it was one of the stars saying, "Can you make my nose a little bit different?" And I said, "Well, no, because that's how your nose looks." Tony says, to use technical terms, I'm painting the robot thingy. Rob knew what I meant. I read that, mate, in Facebook. In Simon saying, yeah, hopefully on the mend. Nice to hear, mate. Good. Ed Hanley saying, Kickstarters I've backed were Slayer Industries. Or that didn't go too well, mate. Did it? I don't think. And New Twilight 2000. And Lord Mid saying, yeah, that's better. Yeah, as soon as he said what it was, mate, it dawned on me. I hadn't switched it back off again from Monday. Where else are we? VG saying, oh, good evening, Dirk, as well. VG saying, if Bladeborn gives us Warcry specific cards for Underworld warbands, I'll pick it up. I don't think it will, mate, because there's no points costs attached to them. So you might as well just like make them up yourself now, really, to be fair. It looks like, if you look at that Bladeborn thing, there's no points costs on the actual cards. So I'm assuming it's like predetermined warband type stuff. Ben says, anyone with kids who likes Dungeon Crawler should be backing Cora and Dan Hughes. Yeah, fellow Blackjack and Internet Titan game Cora Quest. They absolutely should. I mentioned it on Monday's live stream as well. It's flying. I think they needed something like 14,000 to fund it, and it was over 55,000, I think it was, today. So yeah, it's going really well. VG saying, otherwise I can't see anyone asking for Warcry with hexes. I think it's probably more likely just... it's like an intro game, isn't it? It's trying to get complete novices in. I don't think it's really aimed at necessarily like sort of gamers that already play those games, I suppose. VG saying, although Underworlds without the card mechanics is a good idea. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, essentially, I think you end up with Warcry, don't you? Really, as soon as you take the cards away. Anima says, Dystopian is back. Hope the new rules are better explained. The old rulebook was a mess. So, speaking of rulebooks, let me just. This is the rulebook, which looks relatively meaty. However, the actual rules themselves are not a big chunk of it. So, including all of the... let's have a quick look. I would say essentially the rules in total with all of the missions and stuff take about 40 pages, but most of that is kind of like it doesn't appear that complicated at first like glance. However, there's a lot of stuff to take into account, and what's not included in here is obviously all of the stat cards for the models, which are free to download on the website. And also there's something called ORBATs, which is the Order of Battle, which is kind of how you set up your fleets and stuff. Now I had a bit of an issue, and it's not Warcradle's fault, to be fair, but personally, just for me, they sent me out the starter box. This one, they sent me out this starter box, and they sent me it out like a week early, which was awesome. It meant I could kind of make a start and try and get some content before everybody else got theirs. However, the problem is none of the stat cards were ready in time, none of the assembly instructions were ready in time, and none of the Order of Battle stuff information was ready in time either. So I didn't want to build anything because I didn't know what was kind of legal in the game, if you like. I didn't know how to build a list because I couldn't see the ships, and I didn't know any of the point costs or anything like that. So I kind of struggled, really. It wasn't really much I could do. So that I emailed them, and they sent me out a list of some of the build instructions, and they said the rest will be up before the game kind of launches. And I said, well, I can't review your game yet because I don't know how to play it, because I haven't seen the cards and stuff, which is why it's kind of took me this long, really. And essentially I ended up just basically kind of just forgetting about list building, and I ended up just building them how they were in the box. And I think it's probably like a legal force type thing, but yeah. So let's get over to the bit of painting. So I did a test model today, just to kind of get my colours and my order of stuff down, and they paint out lovely. They're really kind of nice to paint. These are plastic, so if I just show you one, so they're kind of hollow plastic there, if you like. They come in like a few parts, so I think like 1, 2 for the front, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the sides, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think that comes in 14 pieces on a plastic sprue. Now, a good thing and a bad thing is you can build these in a multiple different ways. So, for example, there's a different back end that you can put on that ship, which turns it into a different kind of ship. There's a different front end you can put on, and that turns it into a different kind of ship again. So there's lots and lots of options once you're really into this game and you know what you're doing and you know what you're building. But the problem for somebody like me, who just wanted to build it to kind of like try it out and stuff, one, obviously I didn't have all of the information available to do that. But two, I've got no idea what's good in the game. I've got no idea what's the best way to kind of run them. So what I did was, you get 5 of these. I just built them all the same way, rather than trying to mess around and building different types and end up getting it wrong. I just built them all the same, basically. And these little holes in the top, you get, if I can just grab a little bag, you get absolutely mountains of these things. And essentially what you've got is you've got different types of weapons that are interchangeable. So you can like upgrade weapons on your, if you think of it like 40k, where you can sort of like, you know, this marine, like for every 5 marines, one can change his gun to a plasma gun or something like that. It's a similar type of thing with this. So you get these kind of rail guns or whatever they're called. So there's guns for the top there and for the back, but then you also get like different types of shield generators. So there's things like these as well. So whilst it's a great idea to kind of, so you can kind of change them out between games and things like that, it's a bit of a pain in the backside, if I'm honest. Like, because you could magnetize them, but you're gonna have to have loads of little magnets everywhere. I'm not a huge fan of sort of messing about with magnets. You could obviously just leave them loose, but because they're plastic, you can see they're just kind of they probably just fall out if they get knocked about. And the other thing with these being plastic as well, there's no bases for these, so I think they'll quite easily get like knocked about on the table. And then if you've got the little weapons in and stuff like that as well, so it's got pros and cons at the minute. I'll kind of reserve judgment until I've had a proper game of it, until I've played it properly and stuff. But it's from that respect, it's a little bit fiddly. If you want to see what they are in comparison to, say, let's have a look. Let's have a look at the dwarf ship for Armada. Top down. So this is roughly kind of like a medium-sized ship, if you like. This is a medium-sized ship for Armada by Mantic. You can see roughly, and if I do kind of backs roughly level, little bit longer. Side on, you can see there's a bit more. In fact, let me just zoom out a little bit. You can kind of see there's a bit more height to the Mantic ones. But they're different styles, completely different styles of game, really. There are bigger ones. So here, in comparison, is one of the bigger ones. Apologies that it's black. It's primed black at the minute. This one is actually resin. So the bigger ships are resin. The smaller ones are all plastics. And that gives you a bit of an idea. Let me just hold them side by side. That gives you a bit of an idea in the size difference for them. And again, there's loads of different options here as well for different types of weapons. And at this stage, I'm confused as to what I should be putting on them really for any particular game. These ones are for the Commonwealth. The other faction that you get in the game is the, what they're called again, the Enlightened, is it? Yeah, the Enlightened. And these are some of their ships. So this is one of their big ones. Again, if I've got the bits, there's like there's bits go on the top here as well. I just left that one off for ease of painting. These little ball things that I've glued in as well, I think you can kind of change them out for different types of weapons as well. So you've got different types of shield generators, of guns, different types of weapons. The model I do like, which is another one of these, have got another big ship. Just move that one out of the way at the moment. Is this one, and this one's got like a kind of like a weird kind of loader on it, and I didn't know what it was at first, and then I realised you get this, which I've just kind of primed at the minute, which is kind of like a shark. It's hard to see it. It's like a shark within a harness, and essentially what it's doing is that glues under there, and these are basically like kind of like shark or whale torpedo things, like fighting sharks or fighting torpedoes or something, fighting whales. So it's pretty cool just from a kind of a theme point of view. So yeah, the quality's really nice. The resin sculpts are really nice. The plastic sculpts are great. These are some of the other ones as well for the Enlightened. And again, these weapons, I've glued them in, but these can be interchanged. There's different backs for these ones to make different ships. These can be interchanged, but I'd already glued them in by that point. So yeah, for somebody completely new, it's actually a little bit overwhelming of what the hell how do I build them, what do I do with them. I'm assuming as that there will be people who know more now who will be kind of saying, oh, this is probably the best way to build them. Let's have a look down in the chat. Ed Hanley says Slayer 1 that went wrong was CS1. Second edition one was the other one. Was it? I remember the first one going wrong, mate. Ed said Nightfall guys got properly done over by their partner. Yeah, I think that's what it was, wasn't it? Kirsten says, very jealous of you having the Hunt for Prometheus box. I really want it. It's a lovely box. I mean, it's packed with stuff. Anyway, let's get a bit of painting on while we're rabbiting as well. So I've wrote my list about how I like to paint these. You give that a shake. Bit of chat backwards and forwards there. David Mofferton as well, saying here, BlackJack Arenas had a Dystopian Wars commission some years ago, and they were really fun to paint. Yeah, they're not difficult to paint. It was more understanding the options of what should I actually be doing. So what I've done essentially is I primed them black, and then I've come with the airbrush into some lead belcher and give it a kind of like a spray over. Otherwise, if I was just painting them silver, it would take me all night on stream. So I did them with the airbrush. And what I'm taking now is I'm taking Grey Knight's Steel, which has got like a nice bluey tinge to it. I'm using a nice big cheap makeup brush, and I'm just going to dry brush it all over to give a nice bit of colour to take the silveriness away and give it a little bit of. Go get it on camera. Just give it a bit of a bluey tinge. You can just see it's starting to. You might be able to see anyway. Peter saying Dystopian Wars looks cool, but I think it won't be my cup of tea. If Firestorm Armada comes back in plastic, though, I'm all over it. I don't know much about the original game, so I'm not the best person to be saying whether it's sort of a direct copy of the original or whether it's that different. I've read through the basics of the rules and have a rough idea of how the game works. So I'm sure we'll have a review and stuff once I've had a chance to push some boats around and understand a little bit more about it. But yeah, I mean, it lends some of the stuff from Wild West Exodus with the Guts and Glory cards. I think they're called Victory and Valor cards in this game. So that kind of mechanic, if you like that from Wild West Exodus, you'll probably like it in this game too. But yeah, on first reading, I think Armada from Mantic is the simpler game to get your head round. But yeah, that's just from first reading. I've not rolled any dice. I haven't even properly had a chance to look at the stat cards that are online now. They kind of went up at the weekend, I think. So right, we'll just work through these in a bit of a batch. VG saying okay, he's continuing on his Blitz Ball, looking to shade some brass. Nice one, mate. David said I've been working on some Team Yankee NATO tanks. Some of his old 4th edition Fantasy Battle Undead are now finishing off 20 Night Haunt Chain Rasps. Sounds like you've got your hands full, mate. Plenty on the table at the minute. Let me just Tony saying it's just screaming out metallics and weather and fix to me. Yeah, I mean, it's essentially, mate, it's pretty much all I'll be doing. That was why I did a test model, really, just to make sure I was happy with it beforehand. It took me like about an hour this afternoon to go from silver to that. It'll be a bit different on the live stream because I keep stopping to chat to you lot, so that slows me down a bit. Tony saying Warcradle resin's another one that's high on top-tastic resin list. Yeah, they do a good job with their resins, mate, to be fair. I mean, these plastics, I would say, they're up there with the quality of GW type stuff, like when it comes to kind of like the way the sprues are made and the way like the quality of the sprues and the quality of the plastics. I think it's fair to say that. Simon says dry brushing is my weakness. I can never get a right brush, always loaded too much or not enough. The thing, mate, is definitely wipe off more than you think. You can always sort of put a bit more on. I'll show you basically what I'm doing. Let me show you how I'm doing it. So I've kind of shook it up. I've taken this, I'm literally just touching it into the lid. I mean, that's about as much as I've put on the brush. Then what I'll do is just wipe it off, keep moving it around so you can see there that there's hardly anything coming off now, and then just keep dragging it over, and what happens is it'll just build up. Just keep going with it. So if I get a bit, you can see I haven't put any on that side yet. If I just keep going with it, if I go with it long enough, eventually you'll start to see it getting that. I mean, you can see some of it building up on here, to be fair. It just starts to get that bluey tinge. So all you're trying to do is just you almost don't want to see it the first time you wipe your brush across it. You want it to build up gradually over time. Otherwise, you'll just end up with big splodges of paint. So that's it's a super fast way of getting a little bit of colour shift. So there's two side by side now. Let's see if you can kind of see the difference. I don't know whether that light's a bit too bright. You maybe see the one on the right. It's a slightly more bluey tinge. But it's yeah, it's one of the, once you know kind of how to do it, it's a really easy effect. So yeah, so that's that one, and then we'll do the last one there as well. And actually, if you've still got like a bit a bit of paint on your thing, you can sometimes just go back and like brush some more of that. Oops. Brush some more of that back onto your brush and just keep going. Once you can see there's no more coming off, then just go back to the pot and get a bit more. Tony's saying, yeah, not enough is good. It takes a little longer, but it gives a nice transition. Yeah, that's it, mate. The trick is definitely not less is more, because if you put too much on, you're kind of screwed. You have to try and almost prime it back to where it was or whatever. And the idea is if you can hardly see it going on, you're roughly in the right area. Lord Main says, thanks guys, sorry I had to step away as I have a wavy head. I hope you're okay, mate. Hope it's nothing too bad. VJ saying, what colours effects do strong tone and soft tone work well on? I've never used the army painter stuff, mate. I'm sure other people will be able to give you some advice, but I've not used the army painter washes. The tones that like the dip type method things are slightly different, so I know they're not exactly the same products as the washers. Right, so there's the basics of that done. Next stage, right, we've got I'll wash that afterwards. Next stage, we're going to take Retributor armor and we're going to paint it onto some of the areas, either bits I want to have gold or bits I want to have like a bit of a candy red. Right, let's get that one. So let's see, so we can get this on camera as well. And I'm just going to be painting these little kind of the crests on the front of the ship. This is the bit where I go dead quiet now while I'm concentrating. Who else we got here? Yeah, Simon's saying just need to keep trying. That's the way, mate. Bobby Clark, good evening, mate. So he's finishing off 60 lenses on some, is it Chimera? I think it is, transport vehicles. So close to finishing. Nearly there, mate, yeah? Lobby saying, it's like when I move too quickly and then time catches up, my stomach growls, so I'm probably hungry. Yeah, probably if you're a bit lightheaded, mate, you probably need a bit of food. Make sure you're eating properly, mate. Sound like everybody's mother now. Have you had your tea? Are you eating properly? Good evening, Arnold. How are you doing? Nice to see you in the chat, mate. Hope you're keeping well. Right. Yeah, get yourself some food, mate. That's for sure. Not eating, mate, is not something I'm known for. I do like my food, so. Right, just. And the definition on these makes it kind of easy to paint the small parts, because they kind of just automatically. They almost paint themselves. So these stars and these kind of like little sort of bubble things on the side, I'm going to be painting those red later on, but the gold as a base gives it a nice metallic base for the because I'm going to use a contrast red over the top. It just gives them a nice base to stand out from. So that's that one. I'll do the one on the other side now. But these are super quick to paint, mind. Once you know how to build them, once you know you've built the right sort of loadouts and that kind of thing, and the right models, they're super quick to paint. So we'll just work our way through these tonight, I think. Ariel Sanchez, good evening, guys and gals. Hope everyone is good and safe. The game really got my attention and has birthday gift written all over it. What I would say is, for the money, the starter box has a lot of stuff inside it. There are a total of, what's that, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 28, 29, 30. I think there's like 30 ships in the box. A mix of 3 resin and the rest plastic. There's 2 decks of cards, so for obviously being a proper 2-player set. There's all of the specialist dice that you need. I mean, you could, they are 6-sided, so you can just kind of use normal 6-sided dice. And there's a chart, I think, in the rule book which converts them. But it's nice to have the proper sort of specific dice in. It gives you a rule book. It gives you like the Hunt for the Prometheus little mission booklet as well. Gives you all the different measuring templates and things. I'll show you the templates later on because the templates are plastic as well, as opposed to kind of cardboard. There's some tokens and some like sort of card terrain token things. So yeah, I mean, for the price, I think it's £85. If you shop through my Goblin Gaming affiliate link, I think they're selling it for like £75 or something like that. I think there's a bit of discount off it. So it's not bad value. I've no idea how much all of the bits and pieces are going to be like later on when you want to expand your forces and stuff, but as far as kind of starter sets go, there's a hell of a lot of stuff in here, which on one side is really good, but on the other side it does make me wonder just how busy the table is going to get with all the different sort of ships and stuff on. Because like used to playing Armada, I'm not playing with anywhere near like sort of like 20 boats a side type thing, or 15 boats a side. So it'll be interesting. And this starts at smaller point levels on like a 3x3 board as well. So we'll see how it goes when I eventually get to pushing some boats around the table. Dan Hughes, hello fella, how you doing, mate? Congratulations on the success of your Kickstarter, mate. I hope you and Cora are very, very happy, mate. We've just been talking about it. I think you missed it. We've just been having a chat about it, saying how good it is that it's funded so fast and so well. So yeah, I bet it's a bit of a, well, I was going to say I bet it's a bit of a relief that it's funded, but now it's doing so well. Now the real work starts, I guess. But yeah, congrats, mate. David says, I feel like half the dry brush battle is the brush you have. I have different brushes for different effects. Yeah, I mean, certainly I'll show you some of the different brushes that I've got from when it comes to dry brushing and stuff later on, because I've got everything from expensive Artist Opus dry brushes, GW kind of small dry brushes, all the way through to kind of that one I used for this was literally a one pound brush from a pound shop, like a makeup brush. So yeah, I think it's with me it's just experience of kind of picking the right one for the job. If you're doing something like big like this, you want a big soft brush. I'll show you later on. I kind of do a bit more dry brushing on this, and I use a different type of brush because I want a slightly different effect with it. So Krabby's in as well. Good evening, Krabby. Says he's watching on his TV whilst bits hunting. Oh, I saw you were looking for some bits in the Facebook group. Sorry, I can't be of more assistance with that, mate, but I hope you find what you're looking for. That's the reason I don't kit bash anything. I don't have to look for that kind of stuff. Scott Webster said he's building up his Enlightened ships. Yeah, all of mine are built now, mate. They're all primed black. And my Commonwealth ones are all except the big one. They're all kind of primed, ready to go. So I left the big one because this is a relatively simple paint job. It might be something that might do well for like a nice little a very simple how to paint video, and show folks just like not to worry about having to be sort of too technical or anything like that. For those of you that have just come in, this is the test model that I completed. Obviously, I've got the weapons to finish off for it, but that's all I'm really doing with it. It'll look good once the whole fleet's together. Simon says, Andy, what have you been playing recently then? Any new board games with Lou? We've literally not played anything, mate, in ages. I don't think we've played anything at all this year. Lou bought me another one of the Exit games for Christmas, so we've still got that to do. We did do like a kind of like an escape room type thing online with my brother and sister-in-law. One of those things where you basically you buy it, and it's all kind of like online searching, and you get like little sort of things that you have to print off and do little sort of tasks and things, which was quite fun. But no, I've literally not played anything, mate. Obviously I can't see my boys now, so as well, because I used to play the odd bits of games with my sons, but because they're now 18, they're not allowed to come and visit anymore. So when they were 17, it was classed as having shared like parental responsibility with my ex-wife. When now they're 18, they're adults, so they can't come anymore. So yeah, I've literally not playing anything. I'm spending my time looking after the little one because his nursery's closed at the moment, and then working on the evenings trying to catch up. So yeah, gaming's gone out the window at the minute, mate. Right, next up, we're going to get a bit of Nuln oil, and we're going to basically wash it over and just dirty it up a little bit, but not go overboard with it. So let's get this bigger brush here. I'm going to water it down a little bit as well because we want it to flow. So what I'm doing is I'm essentially washing the whole ship. I'm just avoiding the gold bits at the minute. Just watering down the Nuln oil, which is just the GW wash for those that I don't know, and then kind of wicking away the worst of it. So where it kind of overflows there a little bit, let me get on camera, just spread it around, and then once I've got the most of it off the brush, kind of going back and wicking it away a little bit so that it dirties it up, but you're essentially kind of using it to pick out the panel lines and things. Just get a little bit of water on that. And we're going to dry brush it over as well with like a lighter silver later on, so that'll pick up all the high spots again. So I probably should have done this before I painted the gold, but this is the order I did it on the test model, and I just want to keep them all the same now. Simon says, me and my better half have been playing Unmatched and ordered God Tier today. Nice one, mate. God Tier is a good game. Lou doesn't mind playing it with just kind of one champion each, but she just finds it's a bit too much to track once you get more than one champion. I've played it with like 3 champions with my older sons, sort of when I first picked it up, when I first reviewed it. And I like the game, I really like it, but at the minute, it's just not getting the opportunities to play games is kind of putting a bit of a block on playing it more often. I have got a game lined up for Saturday with VJ, to be fair, playing Blitzball. So at least I will be getting an online a tabletop simulator game in this week. But yeah, that's about the extent of my gaming at the minute. That's why a lot of the stuff I've been doing has been painting videos, kind of things about motivation. I haven't done any review stuff because I've not played anything yet. So yeah, such is life at the moment. But it's my new positive outlook this year. I've kind of stopped watching news so much. I'm not reading any of when the things flash up on my watch or on my phone saying, like, you know, this is the kind of COVID news for today and stuff. I've stopped looking at all that now, because what I found was it was just me bloody depressed. So I can't change it. All I can do is look after myself and look after my family, and not worry about what else is happening in the world. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get back to playing some games at some point. We might have a bit of a BlackJack get together at some point as well. Get everybody out and meeting up and playing some games together. So hopefully we'll be able to do that at some point in the coming near future. Dan saying he's going to rewind it back and watch it. Yeah, mate. We mentioned it on Monday as well, mate. Hopefully it might have give a few people a bit of a nudge as well to come and back it. Gareth Lewis's makeup brushes are always good for dry brushing. Yeah, I mean, it's the soft. It's because they're a lot softer. I think for years we always kind of used, like, the GW brushes were always quite hard, like, which is great if you're doing it with a small brush and you're just trying to pick up the top edges and things. But when you're trying to sort of be a bit more subtle, if you use a nice soft brush and kind of do it right, you can almost kind of sort of rival like airbrushing for some nice subtle transitions and stuff. So yeah, it's a nice little trick to be able to do it. So where else are we up to here? People had a bit of a chat backwards and forwards there. Mark is saying he picked up 3 bottles of Null Oil yesterday, and his mother asked why I got so many. It's the most unlucky wash. Mine is precariously balanced here at the minute, mate. So yes, I'm not tempting fate, mate. So to be fair, the tops of these decks don't really need doing because they're going to get painted. But I just like to do it because I hate that look when you miss bits. Yeah, Chris. There you go, Christian. Christian sharing a link there as well for Patreon. Thank you very much. Much appreciated, mate. Patreon is what keeps the dream alive. So thank you, really do appreciate it. Everybody that supports me and supports the channel as well. To be fair, I mean, I do appreciate it. It's supporting me, but it's supporting me to be able to do what I do. There's not that many channels around kind of dedicated to wider community stuff or dedicated to kind of a wider range of games outside of the main GW stuff. So I do appreciate that folks support me because they want to see that continue and they want to see it succeed. So without your support, companies wouldn't send me stuff like this so that I can have a look at them and give you my honest opinion of what I think about them. So yeah, it's I just want to say thank you. Simon says, what's your favourite God Tier Warband? I haven't played them all yet, mate. I do have them all up until the newer recent ones. But I do like Blackheart, and I do like I forget what he's called now. Blackjaw, sorry, that's the one I was thinking of. Blackjaw. That's it. I quite like Blackjaw. If you start playing three against 3, it really does start to it starts to unlock some really cool combinations and stuff. I've just not played it often enough to be good at it. Like, I've still not played Super Fantasy Brawl yet. I still haven't had a game of that since it arrived. So that shows you how far behind I am with actually playing games at the moment. Peter says, yeah, eBay's filled with weapon bits. Oh, I talked about that stuff. Krabby says, that's not going to float. It's got a hole in the bottom. Yeah, none of them have got a hull on them, mate. They've all got flat bottoms on them. That's one thing I like. For the look of the game, I appreciate that not having a base maybe looks like nicer on the tabletop. But when it comes to actually like measuring and stuff like that, I think I do prefer the fact that there's bases on the Armada ships. Like I say, I have to play this game to really form a full opinion. But my kind of initial thoughts of like looking to see how you measure movement and how you measure ranges and stuff like that, just having them on bases is just a bit more accurate and a bit more simplified, I think. But yeah, once I can get this pushed around, I think I'm going to have to just, in order to be able to kind of give it any kind of a review, I'm going to have to be able to just play it solo and just play both sides really and see what I think of it. Lord Main says, I have my dinner, double burger, onions and chips. That'll certainly take away any lightheadedness, mate. That's for damn sure. Sounds like my kind of meal. David says, has anyone else brought Bondic into their hobbying? It's kind of amazing. I don't even know what it is, mate. What is Bondic? Peter says, blister pattern foam bits are usually pretty good for dry brushing edges. I use it on my dead zone terrain. I use them for like weathering, mate. I always use bits of foam sponge for like doing weathering stuff, but I tend not to use them for dry brushing. I just find I get a better control with the right size brush. But yeah, it's certainly for doing sort of like dabbing on and doing bits of weathering and things, they're excellent for that. Right, you can kind of see there where it's starting to pool up on the bottom. That's why you just keep moving it, dry your brush off and just move it around. I'm essentially like I'm washing it to get into the recesses and like staining it really, as opposed to like getting shadows and things. I don't want it to look too new, because what I'll do is, you can see with the one I finished there, you can see once it's had a bit of another dry brush over the top, it lightens it back up, but it keeps some of the wash in the recesses. So that's essentially what I'm trying to do. Right, looks all right. Have I done them all? No, one more to wash. So how's everyone doing then? Apart from the few of you that are feeling a little bit unwell at the moment, I hope everybody. Oh, I haven't painted the gold on those bits. I'll have to come back and do the gold on them. I missed one side off. I hope you're keeping nice and safe. I hope you're. Fingers crossed you can get some gaming back on the go soon and start getting out of the house again. I'm starting to get a little bit cabin fever now again, a bit stir crazy, especially with the weather being so bad and not being able to get out. Like last year when we had the lockdown and stuff, I was going out for a walk or starting to go for a run, and like sort of like back end of last year I was getting back into going to the gym and stuff, and like from a mental kind of perspective, getting exercise in and stuff, I was feeling a lot better for it. But at the minute, not being able to really get out and go anywhere for any length of time, or the weather being so bad at the minute, it's not very motivating to get ready to go out for a walk, like wrapped up in like coats and like raincoats, like being braced for the weather. It's not exactly very enjoyable. I went for a little walk last Friday along the seafront. It had eased off and it wasn't too bad, and I got about a mile away from where I'd parked the car, and the heavens absolutely opened, and I got like it started like lashing it, like it was like stinging my face. It was so windy and so cold, like it was stinging my face. When I got back in the car and I put the heaters on, like my forehead was so sore just off like where the rain had been lashing against it. The cold had like almost froze it on my face, and then the heaters on the radiators on the like in the heaters in the car coming back on was like sort of making my face sore. So yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to get a bit of exercise for gyms opening again, and I can start going back to the gym, and especially with what I do now for a job. Like, I know everybody's at home, but even when things open up, my job's pretty much still at home again. So yeah, I need to get a bit of regular exercising and stuff just for my own kind of health and mental well-being, really. So I'm missing that stuff at the minute. Where were we up to here? Seb Corsness, good evening, welcome to the chat. Says Dystopian Wars was the first non-GW game I ever played. Fond memories. It was something I remember looking at when it was first out, when it was a Spartan Games game, because I loved the looks of the ships, but nobody played it at my local club, so nobody really kind of showed any interest in it, so it was a bit of a waste of time picking anything up. So I don't really know anything about first edition, so for me this might as well be the first time the game existed, really. Tasty Brain Drain, good evening, mate. Ariel saying it's a UV hardening compound to fill gaps. It's a light curing resin, comes with a needle point. Right, I use, when I'm doing any kind of filling stuff, let me just get the lid on this so we don't spill it. I just use this stuff, which I find really super useful. This little plastic putty from Vallejo, just says like 100% acrylic resin, and you basically it's got like a little nozzle on it, and you just use that to fill gaps. I find that's really, really helpful. I think it was VJ that put me onto that. Peter saying, yeah, for dabbing sponges are great, but for panel edges, pulling it across a straight sponge. I've never tried it, mate, actually. James Breer, hello, mate. He's got a few key colours in GW air paints. Yeah, they have, mate. I just find you don't need to buy them. That you can just thin them down anyway. Thin normal GW paints down. Right, how are these doing? I have to let them dry a little bit longer, I think. I used a hairdryer when I was doing it earlier on. It's a bit late to be using a hairdryer now. Tell you what, we'll leave it for 2 minutes, and we'll switch across to the main screen while I have a drink. We'll let that wash dry off a little bit, and I can catch up on the chat. Peter says he's doing great. Booked a vacation in August. Had a voucher that was going to expire. Hoping we can go. Yeah, fingers crossed, mate, on holidays and stuff. Bliss says, yeah, got one of those Bondic pens recently. Amazing stuff. Yeah, I've never even heard of them, mate. Bobby says, I've been improving my terrain making skills, especially with foam core. Planning some nice structures for Adeptus Sororitas. I look forward to seeing them, mate. Your terrain building's fantastic anyway. Dirk says, yeah, guessing exercising would be good for me too. Would love to start going swimming again, but it's all closed. Yeah, I am kind of like... It was weird, actually, because where I live, it was pretty much locked down. Like, there's no bars, restaurants, kind of shops and stuff open. But the gyms were still open. Schools were still open. And actually going to the gym felt like the only bit of like normality I had at that time. Being able to go somewhere to kind of like sort of to do something else was quite nice. And I was just starting to get into a bit of a rhythm, and then obviously it locked down for Christmas and stuff, and since Christmas obviously I've eaten like a pig. I've drunk too many bottles of whiskey over the Christmas period and the New Year and stuff, and now I need to get back and get some exercise again. Blizzard's saying, yeah, he uses that Vallejo putty too. Love it as well. Chris says the Bondic stuff sounds like what my dentist uses. It does sound like some kind of dentist thing, doesn't it? David says, my poor Vallejo plastic putty is probably going to be ignored for a while as I play around with Bondic. So what's the benefit of it, mate, then, over something like the plastic putty? I don't really do that much gap filling, if I'm perfectly honest. James said, I decided to go for a couple of air paints while I'm getting used to the airbrush. Dark grey and white for the prime colours. I've never bought the air paints from GW. The reason I've never bought them is they're the same price as a normal GW paint, and they're essentially just thinned down, so they're just less paint in a pot for the same price. What I tend to do is, so like for example, when let me just get some of these. I bought a load of these Jota bottles a while ago. There's the glue falling off. I bought a load of these Jota bottles a while ago. Let me go to the right screen. So this is basically what I've done in here is I've put in some lead belcher, just normal GW paint, put some paint thinners in it, some airbrush thinners. I've got a little agitator in there as well, and that's what I used for the airbrush today, so that basically when I'm painting up these, when I'm spraying these after they've been primed, I've got some ready to go really. So if I'm doing lots of airbrushing of one colour, excuse me, I'll mix up like a bottle of it, but generally I don't buy air ready paints. VJ's saying, yeah, I used the Vallejo plastic putty with a needle nose. Was probably, yeah, I think it was you, mate. Yeah, he says Uncle Adam's been talking about Bondic, so I was looking at getting some to test. David says Bondic cues in 3 or 4 seconds and is pretty strong. Okay, so it's probably more of like a speed thing than. I tell you what, the biggest step forward I've had after years and years of hobbying is I eventually got myself round to, if I can get my hands on it here, was getting myself some of this Mitrafast super glue and this Mitrafast what's it called, like activator, and this has been like, I should have bought this like 10 years ago. I don't know why I never did. That has been absolutely unbelievable for gluing like resin bits and pieces together. Christian sharing the link for the merch there as well. Thank you very much. David saying it's handy for work on the go and repairs. Okay. Norman says that feels good. A hearty meal that I've been waiting for. I'm feeling a bit pettish now, mate, just thinking about it. Martin says I've been meaning to try UV resin, but have to be very careful around UV light since my skin has an allergic reaction. Yeah, a job I used to have years ago, where we used to glue like metal blocks to glass, and we used to use UV glue to do that, and it was amazing how strong it was. Marcus says bring on the vampire jokes. Scared of UV lights, eh, mate? Chris says, do you also have curiously large incisors, Marcus? Thanks very much. Right, let's see how these are doing. See if these are in a position where I can start. I think we might be able to. We'll give it a rock and roll and see how we get on. Let me get some more tissue here for dry brushing. VG says, yeah, activate it is a revelation when you've been using super glue for years. Everybody told me to use it, mate, and I never knew what I was buying. I saw that Mitrafast stuff, and I thought, oh no, that can't be the right stuff the way it's described, even though somebody told me that's what you use. So I did a bit more digging, and sure enough, it was the right thing. So I bought some a while ago, and I tell you what a bloody difference! What an absolute difference! So we're talking about dry brushing before. So this is a different kind of dry brush. It's like, I think this was one of the first brushes I ever bought when I first got hobbying. So this is a large dry brush from Citadel. And dry brushes essentially used to be like this, like flat, or they used to be like this kind of thing, like small, just like stubby nose little things. And they're great for doing like sort of small areas. But when you're doing stuff like this, you need bigger brushes. Now, if you can see on the one that I've already done, it looks like it's kind of got some kind of like scratches and stuff on the side, and that's just because these are a bit these brushes are a bit stiffer really. They're a lot stiffer than the really soft ones, and I'm going to use, this is a dry paint from Citadel, which is really like sort of, it's quite a bright silver. It looks like gunk inside, but that's exactly how dry paints are. So just kind of dab it in. It's almost like spongy inside. Get some just on the tip, just on the edge. Again, just scrub it around and wipe the worst of it off, or the thick of it off. And then what I've just been doing with this one is just dragging down it so that you really just pick up the And see how I've kind of like dragged it across there, and it looks like it's got a bit of a scratch on it. Do it across the gold bits as well, because gold when it shines, when the light hits it, it kind of gets like a silvery high spot anyway. So and I'm basically dragging it down. I don't want to drag it up. I don't want like light spots on the other bits. I'm only kind of dragging it down and sideways a little bit to get those kind of like scratch marks. Not too worried about the top of the deck because that's all going to be painted. So and then if I show you that in comparison to maybe a little bit wet still in the front there. If I show you that in comparison to one where it's just got the wash on it, just put that brush down. You can just see how it's starting to kind of lighten up again, and it's taking away the dark and dinginess away from it a bit. So how's this one doing? I think that one's dry. Still a few little wet spots on that one. I think this one's okay to go now. James says, what does the activator do? So what you're doing is you put super glue on one piece that you're sticking together, and you spray activator on the other piece, and when you put them together it like bonds in about 2 or 3 seconds. So you've got to make sure you're putting it in the right place. Do a test kind of fit first, but it goes off really quick. Or the other way to do it is to put super glue on, hold the 2 pieces together, and then spray the activator on it, and it's like sets it solid. It goes off super fast. So if you're doing like metal models, or if you're doing resin models, and sometimes resin models, even when you've cleaned them, you sometimes find there's a bit of a problem with them sticking together. Especially like I've had loads of problems with Malifaux models in the past of them not like sticking together. This is just like a godsend. It takes away all the pain. I bought it when I was doing the Drowned Earth minis, because they're metal models, and what an absolute huge difference it made. So there's another one down. Trying to see which ones I've still got to do here now. I've got these 2 left to do. Right, how are these drying? That one still looks a little bit damp. This one should be okay. Peter says, just a random question after seeing Rob's video about his kitty. Any pets there? No, I don't have. Yeah, it was sad to hear about his cat, actually, to be fair. And if Rob ever sees this, mate, condolences. But no, I'm not particularly an animal or a pet person, mate. I've had pets in the past when I've had a dog before and stuff when I was married the first time. But yeah, pets are not really my thing. I used to like my holidays too much to be putting pets into care and stuff like that, or having people looking after them. I used to be travelling away with work a lot, and it just doesn't really seem fair to pets, to be fair. So yeah, I've never really had any pets, mate, other than I think the kids had a rabbit years ago when they were probably about 7 or 8, when many years ago, like 10 years ago, and that's been pretty much it. I had like a budgie when I was a kid. So no, not really a pet person, mate. Busey said, oh, hello to Sundered Sight as well. Nice to see you in, mate. Busey saying the Vallejo metal colour paints are great in the airbrush. No thin even. I think a few people on here recommended them lovely with a brush too. I don't think I've tried them, mate, to be fair. I find these ones alright, so if I struggle with something, I tend to look for a better replacement, but I've never really struggled with what I've got, so I've never felt the need to kind of try other bits. Kirsten saying we use activator at work for fixing submasters that break in production modes. Yeah, I was aware it was a thing. I just never knew if I was buying the right stuff, so I'd not bothered because I didn't really know what I was buying. and eventually after kind of doing a load of research, and I just took the plunge and bought that one, and I wish I had it years ago. What a difference it makes. So that's the dry brushing done. While I've got that one out, I'll do them bits of gold that I missed before. Usually says 32ml bottles with a mixing bowl in about €6. Yeah, I bet they're not €6. It'd be £6 over here, mate. Wargamers Anonymous, good evening. He says, was looking for some dystopian content and noticed you were live. First time visitor. Thank you very much for coming in, mate. Nice to see new visitors. Let me know a little bit about you. Whereabouts are you based? Are you playing Dystopian Wars? Are you just looking to get started? Did you play the original one? Let me know a little bit about you, mate. Right. That's just a little bit that I missed the first time. Right. Next up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take Blood Angels Red Contrast Paint, and we're going to paint over the bits that I want red, unsurprisingly. Tiberius, nice to see you, mate. How are you doing? He said, if you put masking tape on two flat... What was that one? Masking tape on two flat objects, then super glue on one and activate on the other, you can stick things together instead of double stick tape. James, I could have done with that activator while doing all my coke. I've gone through 2 bottles of that Gorilla Super Glue over 3 dioramas. I bet you have, mate. I bet you have. Nice to see you, by the way, Tiberius. I hope you're well, mate. Peter says, all cool, was just wondering I got my King Charles snoring next to me. Yeah, I like seeing other people's photos of their pets and stuff. Like I'm not like a animal hater or anything like that. I like seeing other people's pictures of pets and things. I just for me, it's always just been a time thing. I've never been at home often enough to kind of to want to have a pet at home. So I'm just taking this Blood Angels Red Contrast Paint, and I'm just painting over the top of the metallics, and you can see how it gives a really nice shine to it. Some of the contrast paints especially go really nice over metallics, and they give a bit of a candy type finish to it. So I'm literally just trying not to screw them up a little bit there. You can see from the size of the brush versus with the thing I'm painting just how small they are. But it's more just about kind of giving they don't have to be perfect. It's more about just giving the illusion of perfection. And then what we'll do is we'll paint this little shield on the front here as well. So yeah, I haven't had a chance to read all of the background stories and stuff about Dystopian Wars yet, but it sounds really interesting. It's part of the same kind of universe that Wild West Exodus is set in, so that's why things like Enlightened are a part of this as well. So I'm looking forward to doing a little bit of reading about it, and at some point I'll probably do a lore video as well. So I look forward to doing that. Sunday says, I love my dog, but he definitely dictates our travel plans. Loving the stream so far, by the way. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, definitely sort of pets. My dad has a black Labrador, and it's absolutely huge. I mean, my dad got a dog once he retired, so for him it's like a nice kind of company thing, really. And to be fair, like because of the lockdowns and stuff, I think he'd have been in a much kind of worse, sort of like a bit down in the dumps position if it wasn't for the fact he had a dog. So I completely get like why people have pets and things, but yeah, I was I was always travelling away with work. My wife was travelling with work. Like we used to, when we first got together, we were both sort of like travelling together, and we only started like sort of taking turns being at home when we had the little one. So yeah, pets would have it wouldn't have been a very good thing for us. Right, I've just gone over the top of that gold a little bit there. Let me just wash that off. See what I'm there. I'll just tidy that up with I'll wait till it dries and tidy that a little bit up. Just move them as well so they don't all get in the shot. Vijay saying, yeah, Vallejo metallic colours are fantastic. Busey says, you wouldn't look back if you tried them, mate. I know, but then I'd have to buy them. I haven't got any problems with the ones I'm using. Right. I might do it at some point. There's a lot of people speak highly of them, like, to be fair. So at some point when the ones I've got maybe run out, I might try the odd one. As I've said before, though, it's like there's local shops I can go to and pick up Games Workshop paints, pick up Citadel paints. There's nowhere local I can just go and buy Vallejo stuff. So then I have to buy it online, and then I'm like spending more on shipping than I am for like the one pot of paint that's run out. That's why I've kind of ended up going down the Citadel route, really, purely just because it's convenient. Like, I like the paints, don't get me wrong, I'm not like painting with stuff I don't like. I like the paints, but it's definitely been more of a convenience thing. Vijay saying, better than GW Metallics. I was talking about getting my first ones a couple of months ago on here. I remember you talking about it, mate. There's loads of people have. Like I say, it's convenience for me. If you've got a hobby shop where you can pick things up, like, to be honest, I was looking for I've got some clump foliage somewhere from Woodland Scenics that I used to put on bases and stuff, and I was looking for some to put you know, when I did the photographs that I took yesterday for the Warcradle scenery that I'd been painting. I was looking for it to just like put it on the board as like scatter stuff, and I couldn't find it anywhere, and it was so frustrating because I know like Hobbycraft, just like a normal hobby store like nearby, sells it, but they're closed at the minute because of lockdown, and it's like it'll cost me more in postage to buy it online than it will to buy it, and that's exactly what happens with paints. That if I can't pick them up locally, regardless of lockdown, but like there's nowhere locally sells them, it costs me more in postage just to pick up bits and pieces. So right, that's the reds done. I need to go back and just touch up that little bit of gold that I went over. John Estel says, "Are Hobbycraft doing click and collect?" I don't think they are, mate. Actually, I've not seen that they are, yeah, because they've got like an online web store. So maybe I overlooked that, but yeah, I don't think they are, mate. Right, which was the one? This is the one I went over the top on. Nice to see you, by the way, John. Hope you're well, fella. Peter says, I believe Vallejo is much more popular with us historical guys. Like, for example, I've just used Russian uniform green. I think Vallejo technically has been like a very much kind of historical colour base, if you like. A bit like Army Painter as well, to be honest. Like, a lot of their colours are based upon specific kind of battle dress colours and things. But for me, it's never been about anything more than just my ease of being able to pick stuff up. My local hobby shops are either a GW or a GW dominated shop. They sell a bit of Mantic stuff, but they don't sell any other paints. And to be fair, it's not even that local. So yeah, it's like there's a birthday card shop not too far from me, sells like kind of like balloons and gifts and stuff, and even they have like GW paints in. Hobbycraft, which is not too far from me, don't sell Vallejo. They only sell like Humbrol, like in the little tins and stuff. Or they sell, what's the other one they sell? Tamiya stuff as well. They don't do any Vallejo stuff. So yeah, it's just easy to access. Right, what I'll do next? Right, so now I'm taking Zandri dust, and I'm going to use this to paint the decks on the ships. Let me just give this a bit of a shake. Sundered Sykes, I can understand the convenience of getting things. I didn't get the Vallejo paints until my local store got their beginner and intermediate paint packs. 40 paints for $125. That's not too bad, mate, is it? But yeah, that's literally. Like, I have nothing. I've got like the odd bits of Vallejo paints and stuff. But I tell you, when I've bought them when I've been to like Element Games. When I used to be working in Manchester, so I'd pop into CJ in Element, and I'd pick up a few bits of paints and things. Like when I first got my airbrush, I picked up a couple of. Just put some thinners into here. I picked up a couple of like airbrush specific paints for a project I was doing, and all of my like airbrush primers and thinners and stuff are all Vallejo, but I get them on Amazon because I can get them like next day delivery or something, and because I've got Amazon Prime, I don't pay for delivery on them, so like that's why it is purely convenience. John said he's doing well. Just looked at Hobbycraft, click and collect free on orders over £10. Ah, there you go, mate. I didn't even know they were doing click and collect. I'll have to have a look then, mate. I'll be able to get some of that. Well, in saying that, I'm then going to have to buy 2 lots of clump foliage probably. So, all right. Marcus says cats are really good pets, and if you get them young, they're easier to train. That's why my cats are very affectionate and well behaved. My next door neighbour has a cat and 2 dogs, and my next door neighbour on the other side has a dog as well. And next door's neighbour's cat in the summer quite often just kind of comes over and sits in our garden, and if you're sitting outside like sort of in the sun or doing a bit of gardening, quite often comes over and kind of wants to sort of brush up against you and come and have a bit of a chat if you like. And I don't mind that. Like I'm not like I don't like run a mile from sort of cats and dogs and things. I'm not anti-pets. I just just never had the time in the past for them. Wouldn't be fair on them, to be fair. to be fair. Right, all I'm doing here is I'm just going in and painting the decks. I will make a bit of a mess. I'll go over pipes and things, and I'll end up going up the sides of the sides of the deck. But I'll tidy all that up at the end because the pipes are going to get painted. So I'm not worried too much about being perfectly neat. I just need to get a good cover in here. And we're going to go over the top of this as well with another contrast paint, so it'll all be good when it's done. So this is just Zandri dust, just thinned down with a bit of airbrush thinner, just to help it flow. And just putting on away what looks like wooden decking. Tiberius says Hobbycraft sell Revel acrylics, totally underrated system. It's fantastic. Yeah, I've never used the Revel stuff. I've used some Tamiya bits. Like I've got like the Tamiya Clear Red, but I use them more for like effects paints really. Before GW did their kind of technical paints, some of the Tamiya stuff was the go-to like things for like blood and gore and stuff. So I've still got, because I use it so infrequently and so small amounts, it's lasted forever. I think I bought it when I was doing all my Walking Dead stuff, and I needed plenty of like blood and gore. Blizz says I'm lucky in one of the local gaming stores carry Vallejo game colour, but I found places on eBay that are good if you buy several colours at once. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like when I tend to buy paints, like a while ago, I went and basically dipped in and bought myself a full range of bits and pieces, all the stuff that I didn't have. So now, if I need anything, it'll be one pot runs out. It'll be a pot of sort of nulled oil, or a pot of Agrax Earthshade, or a pot of Mephiston Red, the ones that I use kind of quite frequently, or maybe one of my contrast paints. So it's always just the odd pot. I keep going back and trying to use these cheap Amazon brushes as well, just to try them out, really, just to see how long they last. For anything that's not too important, something that's not too detailed, but they seem to be holding up okay at the minute. I am washing them out with like brush soap and stuff as well, trying to like look after them, because I always wonder whether, for me personally, all kind of better quality brushes better because I've spent money on them, I look after them better. I often wonder if that's the case, where cheap ones, because I know they're cheap, do I treat them like crap basically, and put all my metallics and all my washes and everything through them. So I'm trying to use these and look after them a little bit better and see what happens. Alright, that's the first bit of deck on that one done. Just keep working through them. Sunded says my store has all the Army Painter stuff except the paints. Yeah, it's weird that, isn't it, mate? You'd think like they would probably stock the whole range, wouldn't you? Yeah, I must admit, like when I used to work in Manchester a lot, it was nice to be able to go to Element and have a hobby store like nearby that basically had like full ranges of stuff, had like loads of terrain in, had like loads of different paints and sort of things for like sort of for casting stuff, and loads of different games to look at, board games, all the different like brushes and airbrush accessories. It was lovely to be able to visit there, but obviously now I don't do that job anymore. I have no reason to travel to Manchester now. So yeah, I'm pretty much stuck. There's a store not too far from me called Battle Bunker, and I say not too far from me. It's still like it's probably still a half-hour's drive, and I have to go through a toll tunnel as well. So it costs me like £4 just to visit it. But it's predominantly GW stuff. And after that, it's kind of a head to Metro Centre or into Newcastle, where it's GW shops, or it's a Travelling Man, which is all Citadel paints. That's pretty much it, really. There's nothing else really like close by. I think there's a few little obscure places out of the way and stuff, but those are the big ones, really. Otherwise, I'm making a special trip for a £3 pot of paint, basically. Scroll up a bit. David says, I think I have those same Amazon brushes. Yeah, I can't remember how much I paid for them, mate, but they weren't very expensive. I wanted some bigger brushes, just for doing, like, you know, when you're doing like big areas and things. Because the brushes I've got, I think the biggest one I had was like a size 3, and I think these were size 6. So I just wanted some bigger brushes, and I just thought I would try them out. But so far, mate, they've not been bad. Like I say, I've been using brush soap and looking after them and things. So see how that prolongs their life. Mr. Spooky Thing, how you doing, mate? He says at the hobby shop I work at, we have GW, Vallejo and Army Painter ranges, and GW makes up probably 50% of paint sales, and the other two share the rest. I think a lot of the time, mate, it's people get caught up in the whole GW ecosystem. That's how they get introduced to the hobby at a GW shop or something, or through their friends, and so they don't really know what to buy. So they look at all these painting tutorials online, and obviously the GW painting tutorials will use GW paints. and then generally they're just easier to pick up. And I think it's just self-fulfilling, really. It's just, I think that's generally what happens. And then people like me basically you over time you pick up a load of GW paints, and you just end up replacing them with the one that's run out. And I think that's what happens, mate. Marcus says, "Hey, awesome to see some Dystopian Wars." Nice to see you, Marcus. Yeah, I've got the Hunt for Prometheus set. Warcradle very kindly emailed me and said, would I like to take a look at it and maybe do a review or something. So I said, yeah, please send it out. So I got it last week, and I've been building up the ships. And I thought tonight we'll do a nice little bit of painting on them. If anybody saw my review for Code 1 from Infinity, like, I'm not a huge fan of just like unboxing videos or videos where essentially like basically like, this is what's in the box, there you go, because it's dead simple to kind of do that. If I'm going to review something, it's about the whole experience of what were the models like to work with, kind of are they a pain in the backside to paint, what does the game play like. So when it comes to reviews, I like to kind of do the whole 9 yards, if you like. So yeah, it might take a bit longer. I might not be the first person to get a review or to get like a video up, and I might lose a few views, but from a long-term perspective, from like getting a real opinion of what I think about something, I think it's important to actually spend the time and get them done. Sorry, I think it's important to spend the time and do it properly. That's what I was trying to say. If I was just wanting the kind of quick views, I might as well just do an unboxing video, just literally just spill everything out onto a table and go, this is what you get inside. Like, but that doesn't really tell you anything, does it? Peter says, you never make a trip for a £3 pot of paint. That's where Facebook's post of, I went in for a pot of paint and came out with X invented for. Yeah, I think that's generally the case, mate. I don't have the money to do that anymore now. I have to be very careful where I spend my hobby money. So yeah, I've got to be very careful to not get carried away with those moments. But when I sort of decided I was going to do this full time, I always knew that like I wouldn't have the spare money that I used to have. But I tell you what, I am way happier than I ever was doing that. So I've kind of traded off disposable income for happiness in my job, and I would never go back now. David says, I think I bought, what was that one? I bought a replacement pack of those brushes in 2018, but I still haven't broken it open. Cleaning your brushes can carry them a long way. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I only ever got brush soap when I got the Artist Opus brushes, and that was only because there was brush soap included. So in the past, I'd never really kind of looked at my brushes. I'd obviously washed them, but I'd never really kind of like looked after them properly. So I really don't have anything to kind of compare to say, actually, if I had cheap brushes, but I looked after them, they would have been just as good as expensive brushes. So this is a bit of a kind of like a long-term sort of review, if you like. Once I've had them for a while, if they've lasted, then I'll kind of be able to give a better impression on them. There's no point me just buying them and then doing a review and saying, oh, these brushes are really cheap, you should buy them. How's the video looking tonight, folks? With the black background, is it a bit easier to kind of see what's going on? Is it a bit less distracting having all those pots of paint in the background? It just gives me a little area to kind of to work at as well. What's that just gone off the top of my screen there? Christian sharing the link there as well for Goblin Gaming. Thank you very much. If you're picking up any new stuff and you don't have a local hobby shop to support, please do check out Goblin Gaming. They sell things at discount, off retail price, and it also helps out me as well. It's a nice little extra sort of few pound a month that helps to keep the lights on here. So yeah, much appreciated. Marcus says, I've made by another LED for Broodlord Cthulhu figure I made for Ace of Base. I tried to up the brightness and fried the LED. Sunded Sykes says, the main thing I hear against GW paints is the lid pot design. I haven't had an issue with them. Drotter bottles are better, but the lid points don't bother me. Yeah, they don't bother me either, mate. I made a video a little while ago about how to kind of to clean the tops on the pots. And I tell you what, you think I'd made a video on how to kill your firstborn? Like, people is like, oh, it's because the pots are awful, just use drotter bottles. Like, you shouldn't even be making videos like this. You shouldn't be defending them. And it's like, I've already got the paints. Over time, sometimes there's a bit of paint gets on the lid, and once in a blue moon, I'll kind of clean it off. I'm just showing you an easy way to do it. Like, people get so passionate. You obviously get the anti-GW crowd, but then other people were just like really basically telling me I was a fool and I should just put everything into drotter pots. Barry Kleiber, howdy to you, fella. How you doing? Simon says, these are coming along. Do you ever add battle damage? Sometimes I do, mate. I think it depends upon the size of the model and the piece I'm doing. If it's a bigger piece, I tend to do it. If they're smaller, I'm not that good at painting, mate, to be fair. So I don't always do it. Wargamers Anonymous says, sounds like they're in the same neck of the woods. Hobby stores few and far between this side of the town. Just getting into Dystopian Wars, pick up the starter box. Have you started your Enlightened yet? They're primed, mate. They're all built and primed, ready to go. But I've not started painting them yet, mate. Tonight is actually the first time I've done any painting on these yet. Whereabouts are you then, mate? Lord Maiden says, I just had an error occurred and it killed Andy. Thankfully, I'm still here. I'm all right. Right, what was I going to do next? Yes, next in the list. So now I'm taking, randomly, the pot I've got here is snakebite leather, but for some reason it came in a different pot, but the sticker over the top. And I'm going to take the snakebite leather and I'm going to basically paint over the top of that Xandri dust that I've just put onto the decks. And that will just act like a bit of a darker wash, and essentially it'll look like that when it's done. So, I'm cracking through these tonight. Could paint these all day. Right, just mix a little bit of water into it as well, and then we're just going to come in, make sure I'm on camera there, just come in and so I've just thinned that down a bit, and we'll just run it in a bit like a wash. And all I'm doing is I'm just touching into the water with my brush and then going straight into the lid of the pot and picking up some of the contrast, and then just running it in basically. And again, I'm not too worried about the edges. I'm going to tidy up. The last step I'll do is tidy up all the silver bits. And these pipes at the front here are going to get painted with a gold colour anyway. So I'm not having to be like super neat. Obviously, you don't want to go nuts with it, but it doesn't matter if you make too much mistakes. I find I'm using contrast paints more and more, but less and less as they were sold of this kind of like one heavy coat. I'm using them as kind of really like nice washes. I'm using them to kind of just keep like layer on top of themselves to build up like nice deep colours. But yeah, they're very quickly becoming like a go-to paint. Like when I'm looking for something that I just need to get like a nice kind of colour, like a nice deep colour to it, it ends up being the first place I look to see what contrast paints I could use. So where else are we up to here? Tony saying those GW pots get right on my last nerve. Tony said, I tend to use the best paint range for the job. Not try them all, but we'll work with whatever basically. Yeah, I agree, mate. I mean, you're more of a painter, so I get that you want to try different stuff, but for me personally, I wouldn't really consider myself a painter. I paint because I enjoy it. I'm not very good at it. But I don't feel like I use GW paints for 99.9% of everything I do. But I don't feel like I'm fighting against it. They're not like making my painting worse, for example. I'm not thinking, oh god, like I wish I had a different paint or a better paint for this one. I'm just used to using them now, I think. So I'm just happy to carry on as I am. There's the first one done. Where else are we up to? Tony says, I just wish the bloody things would stay open. I knock more over by going back to dip my brush in the pot and the lid's pretty much closed. You need to push them back so that they clip in, mate. They're designed to clip into the back. I don't know whether I'm kind of teaching you to suck eggs there, but yeah, that's how they work. Right, just have a little drink there. My voice is getting a bit dry. Excuse me. Let me scroll back a bit. James is saying, for very easy battle damage, I do a dry brush with black paint and a small brush. Makes it look like scorch marks. I never thought about doing like that, mate. I'm not going to try it on these because I'll probably screw it up, but I might try it at some point. Sundered Sykes says, yeah, people get a bit nuts over paints and brands. I'll add that to my video to watch list. Warwick says, talking about people who get mad with things like paint pots, I always see so many people in the Mordheim group get mad when new players ask about round bases or using elves. I'll tell you, there's a lot of groups like that. But I think they just get very protective of of what they love, and it's weird. Like sometimes they don't really want new people coming in. They want old people to kind of rediscover it, if you like. It's funny sometimes, but I think as soon as you get like an old game coming back, like I think that the next big one that's going to kick off is when GW bring this old world game out. That'll get the feathers flying, because it's never going to be sort of like old fantasy battle, I wouldn't have thought. So whatever it is not going to be that. So I think that will be quite divisive when it happens. But it's going to be damn interesting to see it all happen. Spunky Taz says, Geordies represent. There you go, mate. Wargamers Anonymous says, Justin Whitley Bay. Oh, you are just down the road, mate. I'm just along the road in Backworth. Not too far away. It would help if I put this on camera, wouldn't it? It would be a much better Hobby Hangout painting stream if you could actually see what I was doing. Sometimes it's weird. Sometimes I actually kind of forget that I'm on camera, and I just feel like I'm just like chatting with a load of mates. I can read what you're saying. I can speak to you, and sometimes I just go into a little world of my own, and I'm just sitting enjoying painting, and I kind of forget that you need to see it as well. I know you don't need to see it, but it's not very entertaining looking at a black screen, is it? It's part of the reason why I've got my face on camera, really. It's just so that at least if I start doing this, there's still something going on. Right, another one down. I think this might be our most productive live stream when it comes to painting, because these are actually really simple to paint. Because I end up spending more time reading the chat than I do painting half the time. But that's what these have always been about. They're always community nights. Nobody's coming here to kind of learn to paint or anything like that. It's more just to have something to do while we all hang out. I'll just catch up with some of the chat. Yoakum says, just popping to say hello. He's been on a course, so I may teach my sons how to drive a car. Exhausted, so no painting for me. Just a good night's sleep. Well, take care, mate. I hope the course went well. Where was this one? Where did that just jump to? There we were. Barry Kleiber, Aloha Strike. How about Alpha Strike? Spunky Taz says he's at Wall's End, spitting distance to Sedgenendum, Roman Fort. Bye. We're all coming in. Loads of us now. Just wait until we can actually get together and make games. Well, I'll have loads of people I can play games against then. If only you could. If only we could start to get games in again now. Yeah, when I used to do my last job, I was away quite often and stuff, and I could never kind of commit to getting to like games nights. I used to hate because a few times I'd set up like a game for like a club night at my local club, and then I'd have to cancel because like a meeting had been put in at work and I had to be in Manchester that day or something, or my wife had to be away, so I had to stay at home and look after the little one. So it got to a point where I stopped trying to plan games because it just wasn't fair on people. That I ended up cancelling like last minute and things. So I basically just kind of, you end up not going to the club anymore, so you kind of you lose touch with people because you're not really kind of like interacting, and you end up just like distancing yourself from people to play games with. And then of course, as soon as I stop doing that job and I start doing this, and I think, great, it means I'll be able to start going to club nights again now. Then when we go into lockdown last March, and I've never had the chance to play a game since, really. So, but when it does, it sounds like we've got plenty of people in the area now. Loban says, just remember that shy purple does not work on black. Yes. David Moffat says, time for me to pick up my kid. I'll have a great stream. Thank you very much, David. Thanks for coming in, buddy. James says that's how they're supposed to work. Yeah, I don't want to screw them up when I'm in the middle of it though, mate. I want to screw them up intentionally, not accidentally. Dirk's off the bed as well. Good night, Dirk. Peter says he's going to be right back. All this painting he's got me barking mad. Time for a smoke break. Nice one, fella. There's something you don't hear about so much these days, people smoking. Like when I grew up, my mum and dad both smoked. And like it was just like obviously you could smoke in pubs and things like that, and it was just much more commonplace. It's not like sort of antisocial or anything now, but it's a very different situation. Like I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. I don't think my kids have ever kind of considered trying it either. Like they're 18 now. Their mum doesn't smoke, and I don't think they've ever really kind of sort of tried it. It's just interesting, really, how times have changed. Right, we're getting there. Barry says, he's talking to Tasty Brain Drain there. Marcus says, my Tomb Kings. I tell you what, it would not surprise me if Tomb Kings do not make an appearance. I know GW did something on their Warhammer community site today about Total War 3 has just been announced, and it wouldn't surprise me if Total War 3 doesn't somehow sort of feed into the new old world stuff, from like races' point of view and stuff like that, and maybe locations. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. But yeah, right, that is there's the decks done. So far, so good. Mark says skeleton archers for the win. I must admit, I did like the Tomb Kings aesthetic. I almost did a what they're called again. I forget what the mantic one's called now. The kind of skeleton archers and stuff. Anyway, I almost did an army for that. Walter Black, good evening to you, sir. Hope you're well. Tony says, yep, it's horses for courses, mate. I don't consider myself a brilliant painter. You are a good painter, mate. Don't do yourself down. But I realise I'm more of a painty type, where coverage and smooth application. Yeah, that's it, mate. Warwick says, I'd rather play a game in person with someone. New players can be easier to find than old ones for obscure games, and sit not playing at all with models on the shelf in a box. Yeah, you and me both, mate, when it comes to stuff like that. Right, get a little bit of this gold paint. Next up, we've got Balthasar Gold. Just put a little bit of that on my wet palette and thin it down a touch. Where's my little thinner? There it is. Walter Black says, just joined. Did you bother with magnetising all those weapon options? So, mate, I was just explaining at the start. I got sent this early, and there was no build instructions available when I first got it. So I basically built it sort of almost kind of copying what was on the box when I started doing it. But I haven't magnetised the weapon options. What I've done is I've basically just left them off at the minute. So where you can see where the little, have I got these little things and stuff, where they've got the little weapons and the railguns and stuff. I haven't glued anything down yet. I've just got like just bags and bags of all the different shield generators and different kind of guns and stuff, and then I'll try and work it out at some point. On some of the ones, these ones that I did for the Enlightened, I have glued these ones down. So it is what it is, mate. I have no idea whether I've done the right thing or not. Probably not, but with the information I had at the time, that's what I decided to do. Krabby says, looking really good, that, mate. Yeah, it's coming together, mate. I tell you what, it's sometimes I'll just kind of like wing it on a live stream and just see how it turns out. But tonight I thought I'm going to do a test model, and like I actually wrote myself down. I wrote myself down like a paint recipe. You won't be able to see it for the light there, basically, but I wrote myself down a paint recipe so I knew exactly what order I was doing everything in, and it helps speed things up on a live stream, so I'm not like I'm not trying to think about what I'm doing while I'm trying to think about having a conversation at the same time. But yeah, there's not too many more steps left to go on these, really. And the idea is, I mean, scale wise, like just as reference point, I've got a marine on the shelf here. That just gives you an idea about the size of the ships in reference to kind of like what a 40k marine looks like. So it gives you a bit of a scale reference. They just need to look good enough. Like I'm not trying to win any awards with these. The beauty of stuff like this, and it's the same when you're doing like army scale games. It's how they look as like a big fleet, or how they look as a big army together. As long as they look kind of cohesive and stuff, I think that it's good enough. So yeah, I'm just taking Balthasar Gold and I'm just painting up any of these bits of pipework that's on the decks of the ships. Just to give it a little bit of interest. And then I'll wash over the top of that pipework as well with Agrax, just to take the kind of the orangey glow off them a little bit. There's one done. Blizzard says Bondic just saved Sammy's arm. Yeah. Are you accident prone, mate? Is that why you need this stuff? I can't remember the last time I actually broke anything. Right, what else are we up to here? Let me scroll down the chat a bit. Tiberius says they'll look great. Those look great, I should say. Thanks, mate. Yeah, they're coming together all right, aren't they? I think it's nice to be able to kind of to paint something almost to completion as well on a live stream. Sometimes we get sidetracked, too busy talking about bacon sandwiches and bottles of whiskey and stuff. But tonight, having a plan of attack, if you like, having the time to do a like a test model, it's just mean I haven't had to give it too much thought. I wrote down my little paint recipe. I've got all the paints lined up down the side of me here, so like in the order that I need them. So yeah, it's all right. It's nice being able to switch them over on these red grass paint holders as well. It's all these little bits and pieces, really. It's all these little tips and tricks just to speed things up. And like I'm just like batch painting, so I'll have done 4 of them on the stream tonight, and it just shows how quick these kind of things are to paint. Like the bulk of the work was done just priming them and getting a silver coat on them. Everything else has just been kind of like just touching it at areas. I must admit, I think I prefer, from a gameplay perspective, I like having bases on ships and stuff, just because I find them easier to like measure and that kind of stuff. But as purely as just like display models, I definitely like them without bases. They look slightly more realistic. I can imagine making a nice little kind of a nice little display piece out of these when they're not being used. Where are we up to? 20 says, I may not play the games, but I'd happily be that third person who got the drinks in and added to the comic conversation. At some point, mate, I'd love to hang out with you and have a games day. Even if you didn't want to play, mate, it'd be good just to have the patter and the banter of just hanging out. We all live in hope that one day is coming. Christian sharing the Amazon link there as well. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, if anybody is shopping on Amazon, if you click the link there, basically what it does is it just takes you through to Amazon. You pay normal Amazon prices, but I make a small commission for kind of sending you that way. So if you're shopping on Amazon anywhere, as lots of people already do, if you save that as a favorite, every time you shop on Amazon, it just kind of helps the channel out as well. Keeps me going. It would be hugely appreciated. Steve said he's off as well. Got work in the morning. Great stream again tonight. Thank you very much, mate. Walter says Tomb Kings are already in Total War 2 as DLC though, but Total War 3 will be amazing. Yeah, sorry, when I was talking about Tomb Kings, I was meaning more in the old world, the new GW thing that they're doing. Although, to be fair, Bretonians are in it, aren't they? They've already talked about them. Empire of Dust, Kirsten. Thank you very much. I could not remember the name. Thank you. Walter says all the Total Warhammer games have been brilliant. I mean, if you're into that kind of stuff, they're really, really well done. It's not my kind of game. I don't think I'm into that kind of strategy. When I'm playing video games, I almost just like that kind of easy access type stuff, if you like, like the kind of like the instant gratification. Right. So I'm just taking Agrax here and just going over that kind of that really bright gold, just to tone it down a touch. And just help it blend in a little bit more with the decks. Scott says Kislev in that trailer. Yeah, I saw somebody was talking about it in a WhatsApp group I'm in. James says they have to include Tomb Kings. That's a meme. tell you what, mate, it's a meme if they don't, that's for sure. Right, there's one down. Peter says, I smoke quite a bit actually, but the high price stops new smokers probably. I know it's bad, but I just can't quit. It's funny, mate, I just, I mean, each to their own. I'm not kind of criticising or anything like that. It's just, it's one of those things that, like, what's interesting is that they stopped a lot of smoking, like, companies doing any sponsorship and stuff, didn't they? So obviously used to be big into motor racing and stuff, like John Player Special and Lucky Strike Racing and all that kind of stuff. And they're talking about doing it with gambling companies now, aren't they? They're talking about stopping them from advertising, and it's interesting. I wonder how much the lack of visibility of smoking has played a part in that, and how much just the continuing sort of tax hikes and price hikes has had an effect. Probably a bit of both. Scott says, very Northern Alliance looking army, which I imagine will feed into Old World. Yeah, I think they're definitely delving into kind of like sort of more races, if you like real world races. And when I say that, I mean like kind of like Chinese races, Japanese races, that aesthetic. I think we'll probably see more of that, I think, because technically everything else has been very, very English looking, hasn't it? Very like, and I say English because it's been written by an English company, but it's been very, very much like Tolkien-esque. Yeah, everybody's screaming Empire Dust at me now. Krabby says, why isn't that marine blue? And also a nice job on airbrushing the tones is a nice look. He says, because Andy has taste. I'll show you that. This is one I did using that really cheap airbrush, because I'm going to do a video on using that cheap airbrush to paint a whole army. So this was my test model. So it was literally, as you can see there, purple or pink, is it Screamer Pink I think I used, might have been Screamer Pink from below, and then yellow from above, and then I've just gone in and I can't remember what reds I used, I've wrote them down, but basically painted in the armor part, the shoulders, painted in the chest piece, black into the backs of the knees and stuff. There's no highlighting, there's no washes. I think I might have put a very gentle wash just in round the edge, and I might have picked out a few of the little vents and stuff, but it was basically designed black on the sword and the gun, dry brush silver, and then some of the Luke's APS or whatever it's called now, Gig Gaming Scenics, fast base and stuff. So the idea was just to do it like super quick, really, to show how easy it is to do it, and that's how I've done it. Mostly. I mean, you can see it almost looks like colour shift the way you tilt it there. So kind of like definitely more yellow from above, with like that from below. But yeah, just super simple. So that was my test model basically. And at some point when I get the time, I'll be doing a video basically. I might even do it like a 24-hour challenge type thing. But the idea is just to use one of those cheap airbrushes just to show that it's possible, really. Because as I said before, like not everything has to be painted to the kind of like the highest standard. Sometimes just you get a really nice overall finished look because it looks cohesive, and it's like it's the sheer scale of what you've done as opposed to the amount of as opposed to the quality. Like sometimes quantity is its own quality, if you like. Right, there's the wash done for that. Next up, we've got Seraphim Sepia, and we're going to wash over the gold, the bit on the front. Christian says because Andy has taste. Exactly, mate. Exactly. I've done like I've obviously got loads of like Ultramarines done and stuff, but I thought I would do the Indomitus box something different, really. They just look a bit more striking when you come to do sort of like painting videos and things. Sometimes the subtleties of the blue gets lost when you're on a video. But yeah, that was essentially like, I think it was like 4 colours or 5 colours. Basically yellow, pink, black, silver and red. That was essentially the only colours that I used. So that's just putting Seraphim Sepia over that kind of front of the bow. Let me just scroll up a little bit. There we go. Blizzard says, oops. Blizzard says, no glue failure from construction. Ah, right, mate. Tony says it's a bacon butty board. I think bacon butties, mate, is something I should not be having more of. Obviously, the little ones at nursery, off nursery at the moment, I should say, their nursery's closed. I think there's basically too many teachers have got COVID or have to isolate. So I think there's loads of them missing at the minute. And so, like, between me and Lou, we're trying to organise kind of like work schedules. Like when we got dropped in at the last minute, it doesn't really leave my wife much time to kind of reschedule meetings and stuff. But we've managed to do something for like the end of this week. So it means tomorrow I'll get some time in the morning and she'll get some time in the afternoon to do work. So, but it means I work late tonight doing this, and then I've got to get up super early in the morning. Otherwise, I just don't have enough time to get anything done. But what it also means is when I'm up early in the morning, it makes you want to go and get a coffee and a bacon sandwich. There's a really nice coffee shop not too far away from me, and they do amazing bacon sandwiches. Their coffee's pretty special as well, to be fair. So yeah, that's the problem with being on mornings, being on the morning shift. But yeah, now I've finished doing the terrain stuff, I can crack on and finish the Malifaux video that I'm kind of halfway through filming. So I've filmed like the voiceover work. I just need to film the like all of the model shots and stuff, and that was what I needed the extra terrain for. So now that's all done, I can start doing that. So that should be one of my next pieces of work. I've obviously got Dystopian Wars as well, which I'm working on. Warcradle sent me out a load of Mythos stuff, so I've got that stuff to take a look at as well. I've still got what's it called again? Drowned Earth as well, stuff to take a look at. Yeah, plenty on my plate at the minute. Plenty on my plate. John said, I think the bases in Armada make total sense given the movement. Yeah, I agree, mate. I think it does as well. And to be fair, I don't think it distracts from the model. I actually quite like once it's on the table, it fits in, if you like. It looks funny just kind of floating in midair like that kind of thing. It looks like, well, like if I do that, it's go, oh, that base looks weird. But when it's on a table, that looks like the base. It's a bit different. Yeah, Tony saying Kirsten, it was a good call. We decided early on bases were a must for Armada for that reason. Makes gaming so much easier. Yeah, I agree. I think Black Sea should have had it as well, if I'm honest. And I'm surprised actually, or it wouldn't surprise me, I should say, if Warlord even went back and thought about it. Right, so all I'm doing now is, this is the last step. I've got Iron Hand Steel, which is a kind of like an off silver, just to touch up any bits where I've cocked up, basically, where I've made a little bit of a mess. So we're going to tidy that up. Peter says, it's crazy how much you realise games are really just a thing going on in the back. It's the banter I miss the most. I completely agree, mate. I mean, like I said before about when I used to go to the gaming club, and I basically I lost touch with people purely on the basis of just I didn't go to the club anymore. It's a real shame. I mean, some people I still keep in touch with, but like it's purely just by the odd text. Like I wouldn't consider us like sort of, we don't like speak on a regular basis or anything like that. Marcus says, just finished washing 10 ghouls and base coating the Grimwatch bases. John says, I'm quite pleased with how easy it seems. It got decent paint job on the Armada ships. They're really nicely made, mate. They're well designed and they're really nicely made. Which makes things a joy to paint, to be fair. Right, so now it's just a case of me. So you'll see there where I kind of... You can see on the front of the ship here where I've gone up the side. I'm just going in now with this silver and just tidying those bits up. So obviously the silver I'm using is not a complete match for the silver I've done, because I've put silver on, I've dry brushed a different silver, I washed it, I put another silver on top of that. So I'm never going to get like a perfect match for it. So I've kind of picked like a mid silver really, just to blend in with it. And then all I'm doing is just going in and just touching some of these things up here. And then once we've done that, the job's a good one. Some people like to to tidy up any mistakes as they go, but I used to do that. And what I found is I spent more time correcting mistakes than I did actually sort of painting the model. So now I find I wait until the end, and then I go in and tidy things up. I just find it it's a bit more efficient that way. Marcus says, if they bring back Tomb Kings, even for a limited time, I have one thing to say to GW: shut up and take my money. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think they'd be fools not to bring it back, purely on the basis of the popularity for that army. So yeah, I'm sure it'll come back in the old world. I'm just not sure what old world is really going to be. That's all. I think people are going to be potentially quite disappointed when they find out what the game is. But we'll know more when it happens. Don't mind painting those bits. They're going to get covered over by the weapons anyway. Right, one down. Timing wise, this is going to be bang on. It's going to be perfect. We'll be done in the next kind of 5 or 10 minutes. Wash the brushes, have a bit of a natter for the end of the stream. Perfect timing. Jez says, good evening. I reckon that giant marine is going to ruin that ship mind. I'm a little bit behind on the chat now, aren't I? Yeah, he's looking like he's going to do a bit of damage, isn't he? Tony Howell, thank you very much, mate. He says, I had a fried egg and that bacon pretty. I tell you what, mate. I recently realised that they do sausage and bacon sandwiches. That just... I mean, I know they're a thing. I just didn't realise that the shop I went to did them. And I tell you what, mate, it's with my ever-expanding waistline and lack of exercise at the minute, bacon and sausage sandwiches for breakfast is not a wise choice. I'm kind of missing just going for a bit of a walk and getting some fresh air and because I find that time really useful to. That's when I come up with a lot of ideas and stuff for the channel, because it's just a bit of peace and quiet. I'm kind of like out having a little walk along the coast, or like there's like some kind of like what they call like wagon ways like behind where I live, because I live like next to a farm. So there's some nice little kind of like country walks and stuff. But the weather at the minute is so bad. It's like absolute mud baths. Would not want to be walking along them areas, and the wind and the rain's been wild, like along the coast. Like massive big waves coming up the sides and stuff, so it's not exactly very nice walking along the coast either at the minute. So yeah, so I'm not like getting out to even have those bits of peace and quiet really, and have my sort of, what's the word I'm looking for, those kind of like creative periods, if you like. But I've got plenty on my plate at the minute. I'm not short on ideas, but I'm sure at some point it'll dry up. But thank you very much, Tony. That was very, very kind of you. Where were we up to here? Marcus said, I would love to see a plastic kit for Tomb Scorpion that looks like the one from Total War 2. That thing is so much sexier than the old pewter figure. I think that's the thing with Tomb Kings. That obviously if they do come back in the new game, they're obviously all going to be new models. I mean, there's no way. I can't for 1 second think that they're gonna want people to buy models. Like, that's how GW makes money. So it'll be interesting to see just what kind of sculpts they do come up with. Kirsten said, I don't know if Monaco is any good for trans people. I'll just take the money for now. I'm not sure. I would have thought, I mean, I don't know obviously, but I would have thought Monaco is quite kind of, you would assume they're quite progressive, but there again I guess it's more about the money as opposed to Monaco's for rich people. They probably don't care who you are, as long as you can afford to be there. Right, just tidying up these bits here. Have I missed any bits? I think that's about, oh, there's one little bit there. I'll tell you when I'll find all the bits I've missed, when I come to take a photograph of them. That's always when you find the bit you've missed. And the last one. Now what I haven't shown you, so these are 5 kind of medium-sized ships. I haven't shown you the 10 small ones I've got to paint yet. But to be fair, the small ones, there's not a lot of work needed on them. I think they'll probably crank out in a relatively quick time. So just touch up the front here. Oops, I might make it a little bit heavy on the silver there. And then we're almost done, folks. Just tidy up around here. On the front. What else are people saying? Jay says, evening. Oh, we're just how I was jumping around. Krabby saying, looks great, man. I'm loving it. Talk about Tomb Kings. Lord Maiden, I completely missed that one. Sorry, Lord Maiden, I missed that one. Thank you very much. Says, have a bacon roll on me, you deserve it. Thank you very much, buddy. I apologise I didn't see that one flash up. Sundered Psych says, need a coffee to wash that breakfast down. Thank you very much, folks. The only problem is the way that YouTube pays out. It'll be 2 months before I see that money, but at least I know it's coming. I can spend money on the promise of it. So there's my breakfast sorted tomorrow then. Let's hope the weather stays fine enough for me to get out and get it. It's not quite the same when you just jump in the car and drive round. It's nice to go for a walk to pick it up. At least I feel like I'm working off some of the calories that I'm shoveling down my face. Right. So I'll show you where we are. Let's get these bad boys out. So that is what we've achieved this evening, folks. Let me get a bit more light onto them. Maybe zoom in a touch. So that's what we've achieved tonight, folks. I'm quite happy with that. These are the small ones, just to show you for scale reference. So there's 10 of these to do. So as you can see, there's a lot less things. I have to do the shield on the front, like a little red dot or something on the top of there, paint the deck, but essentially there's not, they won't take too long. So there's 10 of those to do. and then there is, where is it? There's the big one as well. But the big one I might do as a video just to kind of show that those steps on basically how to paint it. But actually, with it being a bit bigger, it's actually a bit easier to paint, because as you saw when I did mine, that the 90% of it's dry brushing. That one I think it'll do well. So I'll leave those. It's not very often I get to finish stuff on a stream. I've obviously got the weapons and stuff to do, so I'll leave them there for 2 minutes while we have a little catch up with the chat. Peter says, honestly, say what you want to Dreadfleet, but the bases for those minis are the greatest sea bases I've seen. They are really nice, mate. The way they're moulded into the bottom, they're nice. Ancient Egypt stuff looks cool. It does, mate. Peter says, imagine Old World being a board game like the Horus Heresy one, like a Risk variant, and people would go red with anger. They certainly would, mate. Kirsten says, sausage and bacon, you're easily pleased. I tell you what, I'm a man of very simple tastes. The light. I was just going to put my drink right down there. Life is simple at the moment. I have to take any small joy where I can get it. Love Maidens, maybe I didn't send enough money. I'm trying to remember how much they are now. I think they're about like $3.50 or something like that. $3.50, but then a coffee's about another £3 as well. They soon mount up. Where was that one? Peter says, I think we hear the sound of donation, but Andy has the sound turned off, so if he isn't watching the screen, he misses it. Yeah, I do. I'm really, really sorry. If I leave the sound on, I hear the sound of the stream coming back at me as well. So I don't hear the donation sound, unfortunately. But it's normally when I catch it out of the corner. It comes up big in the chat. So if I see it in the chat, I know to look for it. But I was quite far behind with the chat, so I apologise. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, I'm just reading now. Everybody's in. I'm sure he'll notice. Thank you very much. Jim says that the video yesterday was cracking quality, mate. You're really nailing that look and feel. I feel like I'm getting there, mate. I feel like I'm kind of. I'm at a point where the videos are starting to look a little bit more polished, because I'm getting the hang of lighting things correctly. I'm getting the hang of playing with settings on the camera. Like I know what I'm trying to do in advance, kind of thing, and like I know the look I'm going for. I'm writing the scripts like of what I want to say with the video in mind, kind of thing. So I feel like it's all starting to come together. The problem is the stuff I cover is not mass market. Like they're not going to get thousands and thousands of views. Like I've seen what happens. like the airbrush video I did. I intentionally decided to buy that cheap airbrush on Amazon because I thought it's going to have a wider appeal. I want to see what happens when I make a video like that, because I know I can kind of, like, my ability to make videos has improved like dramatically over the last 12 months. Like I can kind of craft like a story through it. I can I know the kind of music they put in the background. I know to get the levels right now. I've got a better quality microphone. I know I can kind of pull those things together now. So I thought I'm gonna give that a go and see how it does. And like that video's done like over 250,000 views now in like 2 months, and it drove like 2,000 subscribers last month. So like part of me goes, oh, so that's how you grow a channel. That's what you do. So I know that I can do that kind of stuff, but that's not what this channel's about. Like it's not about clickbait. It's not about just driving views. So I want to be happy with the quality of the videos, because that's what I enjoy doing. It's part of what I love about doing this. But it also has to be about products and games that I'm also I'm also interested in as well. So yeah, the channel will grow at the rate the channel grows. I know it's not the quality of videos that's the problem. I guess it's just the fact that it's a niche within a niche within a niche. That's the stuff I'm making videos about, and that's why things like donations and Patreon and buying t-shirts and all that kind of stuff, that's why it really helps, because I'm never going to drive the level of views, like sitting having these kind of like random chat things and painting dystopian warships. It's never going to drive the kind of views that if I was sitting here talking about the lore of 40k, for example. So that's just how it is. But yeah, thanks for the kind words, James. Scott says, link isn't working properly. Just go Etsy, search Giant Tower, click on the store down the side of the left. Armies of Sand. James says, bloody hell, you lot, almost time for bed and I'm off tempted to raid the fridge. It's always a problem when I finish these live streams. I'm kind of wired by the end after sitting talking for so long. I can't just turn the computer off and get into bed. I have to kind of wind down for a little bit. And when I'm winding down and we've been chatting about food all night, my stomach's like going... search Armies of the Sand. Right, I'll have to check that stuff out, mate. Lord Maiden says the model I was painting just took a dive and drowned. Oh dear. Kraken Squadron. Thank you, Peter. Tasty Brain Drain saying great work. James says, blimey, I was only half paying attention. Thought you were just really slowly painting one boat. No, I've been batch painting, mate. One of them was my test model, but the other 4 I've batch painted tonight. So yeah, it was not a bad little kind of squad. So yeah, I've been switching and changing them, mate. So yeah, there was I painted 4 tonight. Breakfast time here. I'm off to raid my fridge, says Sundered. James says I'll have a bacon sausage sandwich. Tony says if you can afford to be in Monaco, you can afford to be who the heck you all want to be. That's what I think as well, mate. I'd be torn between Looney. I am Captain Griswold. John said I googled it and I assumed Monaco would be fairly liberal, but they look pretty rubbish on all LGBT plus equality. Do they really? I thought they'd be pretty liberal. That's just like maybe it just depends on how much money you have. And Lord Maiden says those are some great looking ships. I'm happy with how they turned out. I mean, I think you can see on camera there's a bit of a kind of like a silvery blue tinge to them. So if I show you this is the silver primed colour next to them. Maybe it doesn't show up too well with the light. I'll try and bring that down a little bit. I've got an overhead light here that I'm kind of moving around, so I'm trying to get it to the point where it shows up best. I don't think it makes much difference, if I'm honest. But yeah, there's definitely a little bit of it. It was definitely worth it, I think. I'm just thinking, was it worth doing all them different silvers? What was the point? But yeah, I think it makes me feel good. Christian sharing the link for the Army of the Sand. Oh, thanks, mate. I'll be able to check that out when the stream's done. So yeah, that's those. Let me just flick back to here. I'm just going to turn that camera off a second so I don't knock it. That's it, and then I can sit and finish off my drink, and we can have a bit of a natter for the rest of the stream. So yeah, things are starting to come together. Mythos stuff I was talking about. This is what I was sent the other day. So the rules and gubbins box, which basically has that in. So that is the rule book. Dice, tokens, template. So that's what's in the rules and gubbins box. And then a faction starter for Wildborn, which has those 5 models in, which are really, really nice. I think the scale is something like 34 mil, so they're nice chunky resin models. And then the last one there is Path of Chronozon, and those are the models that are in there. So yeah, so a couple of factions starters and the rules and stuff. So I'm looking forward to diving through those. And then they also sent me some of their fabulous terrain as well. So as you see the colours on the front there, that the MDF comes pre-coloured, that, so you don't even have to paint it if you don't want to. I probably will just to see how it turns out. But that was one of them. So that's the Dunsmouth Tackle Shop. They then sent me the Dunsmouth Fish Market. So again, it's kind of like some of it's green and stuff, which looks pretty cool. And then the last one that they sent as well was the Traders Gear, which has like some sort of crates and some trucks and stuff in it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to. Oh, I love the smell of MDF. So I'm looking forward to cracking them open and getting a look at them as well. Tony says those ships look fabulous, mate. Thank you very much, buddy. Peter says, do Warcradle have plans on making the other factions in Dystopian Wars in plastic? Haven't really looked at. I think the plan, mate, is so the way I've got photographs of the sprues, but I haven't got any of the sprues because I've done. The way the sprues come is like the sprue might have 2 different ships on it, but it has multiple options to build different types of ships. So I think the way they've done it is they'll be making plastic sprues for the other factions with the option ships, so like where you might be able to make 5 different ships out of one frame if you like. So I think that's the plan really. And then obviously the bigger ones, the ones like these things, these ones will be the resin ones, I'd imagine. But yeah, I mean, like stuff like these are all plastic. I think the assumption is they'll be plastic. John Estel says, how would those boats float? They look more like submarines. I think the idea is half of them's under the water, I think. Peter says you could just put an Agrax wash on those pre-coloured ones. Yeah, I mean the pre-coloured, which is like pre-primed as well. But I must admit that the engraving on the Warcradle stuff is really like quite deep, and it works really well to sort of be able to prime them. As you saw in that video, you can prime them and then paint over the top, and it really holds the recesses. Spunky Taz says MDF kits smell like frazzles. There's something about like just like that cut MDF. Kirsten says the other factions are getting unit cards to download over the next few months, and then over the course of the year and next, I believe each faction's getting a fleet box. I think that's the plan. I think what they're doing is there's going to be rules where you can use existing, like if you've got the old stuff like off when you used to collect Dystopian Wars before, there'll be some like counts as type stuff, but they'll be releasing their own factions over time and stuff. So yeah, that's the plan. Anyway, we've just clocked over 11 o'clock there now. I think that's as good a time as any to call it a night. Thank you to every single one of you who've come in and watched tonight. Thank you to those of you that have donated. If you enjoy this kind of stuff, Christian sharing the link there, I knew it was coming. If you enjoy this kind of stuff and you want to support it and make sure that we can keep doing this like sort of for the well, forever basically. I'd love to do this forever. Patreon is the best way. It kind of it really does give me a bit of a kind of like a sustainable income, which helps make this all possible. I'm not trying to get rich from this. I'm not trying to replace my old like kind of full-time job, but I do need to earn enough to kind of pay the bills doing this. So I really do appreciate it, people checking out the Patreon. So thank you very much, folks. Take care. Have a lovely rest of your week. Do whatever you want to do. Enjoy your hobby. Stay positive. Don't worry about things that you can't control. I hope, Kirsten, I hope you quick recovery if you're not feeling very well. Anybody else that's feeling a little bit off as well. And I'll be chatting to you in the Patreon chat as well over the next few days. So take care, and I'll see you all on Monday, folks. Thanks for watching my video. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And if you did, why not consider clicking on the suggested video below to see more of the work that I've done. If you'd like to support the long-term sustainability of this channel, why not consider checking out my Patreon, where you can pledge and support from as little as $2 a month. And there is lots of different tiers and bonuses, which will give you access to a private Discord server. It will give you free t-shirts, free mugs, a podcast every month, and a number of other things, including getting your name at the end of every video, like these awesome folks who already support me.